The other day I made a video comparing Bellator's champions versus the UFC's champions and doing predictions about what could theoretically happen if they were to fight against each other. In this video I'm going to be covering one championship champions and comparing them to the UFC's champions of the exact same weight class, talking about what could theoretically happen if they were to fight each other. And I'm going to start with the men's flyweight division, the lowest men's division that the UFC has. And the Jared Brooks is the champion there at men's flyweight. Alejandro Pantoja is currently the champion of the UFC at 125 pounds. And I think Jared Brooks is a really good fighter. I would genuinely put Jared Brooks up there as a top 5 men's flyweight in the entire world, regardless of promotion. I do believe that he's better than any flyweight that Bellator has right now, which is only 2. But I do believe he is better than them. I think he's better than most of the UFC's flyweights. He did fight for the UFC a while ago. He did have a pretty decent career for them as well. He lost to Jose Torres, who was absolutely fantastic. He lost to his split decision to Davison Figueiredo, who went on to become the champion and have a really, really good career. He's since fought for Ryzen, he's fought for Bellator, and he's fought for one championship then. He did get released from the UFC in 2018 during the purge of UFC's flyweights when they were thinking about getting rid of the UFC 125-pound division. So he wasn't really cut because he wasn't quote-unquote good enough. It was just UFC getting rid of the division, unfortunately, and unfortunately he was part of that. But I believe he's that good. I do believe Jared Brooks is a fantastic grappler. I think he's a fantastic fighter, but I think Pantoja would be able to catch him with something. Pantoja, as we all know, I mean, not many people knew who Pantoja was before he fought Brandon Moreno, which was crazy to me. I thought Pantoja would be a lot more recognized than that. But it is what it is. Pantoja genuinely is one of the most exciting fighters on the roster, in my opinion. He goes out there, he's super over-aggressive, throws high volume, very aggressive on the ground as well, very aggressive grappler, aggressive striker. It can lead to him getting caught, like he did fight against Alex Perez. I don't know if you guys have seen this fight, but when he went out there, he did eventually submit Alex Perez with like a standing rear naked choke. But man, when the fight was on the feet, these guys were just throwing combos, dude. It was absolutely ridiculous. And then when he went out there, he knocked down Brandon Moreno in the first round. Was very, very aggressive in that fight throughout all 5 rounds. To my surprise, I thought he was going to gas out after the 3rd. But I think Pantoja would be able to catch Jared Brooks with something. I think he could be a little bit reckless on the feet because Jared Brooks isn't a guy that just KOs everybody. He does have a couple wins by KO on the feet, but for the most part, he is a grappler. He's a very good grappler, but I think Pantoja would be able to catch him on the feet. The next one is Demetrious Johnson. He is the bantamweight champion of one championship, and Aljamain Sterling is the UFC's bantamweight champion. At the moment, it seems like Sterling might be vacating the belt to go up to 145 or something like that soon, but at the moment, at the time that I'm recording the video, Sterling is the champion. Demetrious Johnson is also the champion of one. He's 36 years old, and he's very small for 135. I will say that. Now, I do understand that Adriano Moraes is probably one of the biggest bantamweights in the world. He's absolutely gigantic for the division. But man, when Demetrious Johnson and him fight against each other, he just looks so small. It's crazy, man. But I do believe that in this matchup, I think Aljamain Sterling would be able to win. Demetrious Johnson, though, if you do watch his fight, I would say especially his most recent fight against Adriano Moraes, it is absolutely unreal how skilled Demetrious Johnson truly is, even at the age of 36. Like, he was just out, this is going to sound really dumb, but he was just out-skilling Adriano Moraes. He's just so talented as a fighter. He's very small for 135 pounds, but man, he really does like make it work. Like, he's a fantastic fighter. I do believe Demetrious Johnson is one of the greatest of all time. Still is adding on to his legacy in another promotion, but I think Aljamain Sterling would beat him on size. I mean, he's a very interesting striker as well as Sterling. Sterling's also a very good grappler. I think both guys would have very good grappling sort of exchanges, but I think Sterling would be able to get the better of him, mainly due to size. I think Demetrious Johnson still has that skill that he had in his prime. He's still such a skilled fighter, but I think Aljamain Sterling would be able to beat Demetrious Johnson in this matchup. I think Aljamain Sterling would be able to get his own offensive takedowns and kind of get on top of Sterling and work his ground game from there. So I think Sterling would beat Demetrious Johnson at this point in Johnson's career. The next one is Fabricio de Andrade. He is the champion of 145 pounds. I think he would lose to Alexander Volkanovski. That's a pretty hot... That's not. Volkanovski, 110% is the best featherweight on the planet right now. I don't think there's a lot of debate there. Like, Yair Rodriguez, even I said this when I picked Volkanovski with a decent amount of confidence. Yair Rodriguez, I thought, was going to be the toughest matchup for Volkanovski at 145 pounds because Yair Rodriguez was very competitive on the feet against Max Holloway. He's dangerous on the feet. Yair Rodriguez was also working on his grappling. You could see definite big improvements in Yair Rodriguez Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. and Volkanovski just ran over him, man. He out-wrestled him, he out-grappled him, he outstruck him, not really, didn't really outstrike him. Yaya had a lot of success on the feet in the third round, but eventually Volkanovski broke him down. Volkanovski is just so good, man. He is better than Fabricio de Andrade, probably everywhere. Now, Fabricio de Andrade is a fantastic kickboxer. Very, very good kickboxer. However, I do believe that Volkanovski would just take him down and kind of dominate on the ground as well. He managed to beat John Lineker, which was fantastic. John Lineker is a great fighter, but at this point, it's pretty fair to say John Lineker is probably past his prime. He's had 45 professional fights. He's only 33 years old, but he did kind of get released from the UFC, and then he signed to one championship, but he definitely was on his way out. But I think that Volkanovski would beat de Andrade. I don't think that's a very hot take at all. We'll move on to lightweight. Kai Tang is the champion of one championship at 155 pounds. Very good fighter, probably one of the best Chinese fighters on the planet. Probably one of the best Chinese male fighters on the planet, I would say as well. Because obviously Zhang Weili is a fantastic fighter herself. But Kai Tang, probably one of the best, if not the best male Chinese fighter in the world right now. 15-2 record. A lot of pretty good wins, especially that win over Tan Le. Now, Tan Le is an older guy at this point in his career. Tan Le is a guy that the UFC didn't sign, which was weird. Like he had so many opportunities to get into the UFC and he just never did. He fought on the Contender Series. He fought on the Ultimate Fighter as well. It's weird that Tan Le never got picked up from the UFC because he always had exciting fights. I don't really understand the reasoning why he never got picked up. But now, anyway, Kai Tang beats Tan Le and he would have to fight Islam Makhachev. Now, I don't believe that Islam Makhachev could lose to Kai Tang. I genuinely believe that Islam Makhachev would just go out there, take down Kai Tang, and kind of dominate on the ground. Like, Islam Makhachev's massive, 155 pounds. He's a fantastic wrestler, one of the best wrestlers in the UFC, one of the best MMA wrestlers probably in the entire world as well. Just very good fighter, very good guy. I think he would just be able to eliminate anything Kai Tang could bring him on the feet. So, yeah, give me Islam Makhachev. I think he would probably dominate Kai Tang on the ground. Christian Lee is an interesting case because he is the champion of 170 pounds and 185 pounds. Now, he is taking a pretty long period of time off, a big hiatus from MMA at the moment, but he is a very good fighter. He just dominated Kimar Abasov to a win in the 4th round. Avenged just lost to Rayun Ok. And I'm going to be open and honest, guys. This is like a big claim to fame from the young Artem. Now, I'm not so young anymore, but when in 2021, I did actually pick Rayun Ok to beat Christian Lee, and I think he was a massive underdog in that fight. Only 6 people picked Rayun Ok, and then Christian Lee went out there and avenged that loss, which is very good. But the reason why I picked Rayun Ok to win that fight was just because I believed that everything that Rayun Ok offered to Christian Lee was Lee's biggest weakness, and it did include a lot of like very particular takedowns that it's very hard to explain. I don't know if the breakdown's still up on my channel because I deleted all of my old videos, but I did pick Rayun Ok. You might have to trust the young Artem in that one there. If you don't trust me, that's okay. But anyway, he's looked very good recently. Christian Lee's a guy that mixes up his wrestling with his striking. Mainly his boxing, I guess you could say. He's a bit of like a boxer wrestler, but not really. He's got a very hard style to... He's a mixed martial artist. He fights everywhere. I do think Leon Edwards would beat him. And I do think Israel Adesanya would beat him. But I think Israel Adesanya would beat him easier than Leon Edwards would. Because Leon Edwards would have to defend a lot of takedowns, which he's proven that he can do against Kamaru Usman, especially in his most recent fight. And I think Leon Edwards is the better technical striker. Israel Adesanya 100% is the better technical striker than Christian Lee. I think both of these guys would style on Christian Lee on the feet, but if Lee could get takedowns, it would make things interesting. I think he definitely would lose to Israel Adesanya. Leon Edwards would be a closer fight, but I think Leon Edwards would also beat Christian Lee as well. He is a very good fighter, champion of 2 weight classes at one championship. 100% is not like a joke whatsoever. Now, the second to last weight class is Reina Dorita at light heavyweight, and Yuri Prochazka is who I've chosen as the 205-pound champion. As I record this, the UFC has no light heavyweight champion. I've got absolutely no idea what they're going to plan on doing because Yuri vacated the belt and then Jamal Hill won the belt and now he's vacated the belt. So I'm going to go with Yuri Prochazka as the champion of the UFC because it seems like Yuri is going to be fighting soon for the title. So let's just pretend Yuri is the champion of the UFC. I can pretend that Jamal Hill is the champion as well, but I think Yuri would beat Reina Dorita. Yuri's, I mean, it's a shame because we don't really know how he's going to look after his injury, but when he fought Glover, You could tell that he's been working on his wrestling defense, his takedown defense. His grappling looks surprisingly good against Glover Teixeira, although he was on his way to losing that fight. And then Reina Dorita's like a pure BJJ guy. He genuinely has no striking whatsoever. He doesn't really have that good wrestling either. I think Yuri, if he kept the fight on the feet against Reina, would knock him out within 2 rounds. I think Jamal Hill, if he could keep the fight on the feet, would knock out Reina Dorita probably in the first round. Not gonna lie. But if Reina Dorita got Jamal Hill down, I think he would put Jamal Hill in a lot more trouble than he would Yuri Prochazka. I mean, maybe that's a bad take. Let me know what you think in the comments. But I think Reina Dorita would probably lose to both of these guys. I just don't see him getting the fight down to the ground. Anatoly Malekin 100% exposed this guy. I mean, I always thought that he was a little bit of a fraud because all of his wins were pretty dodgy, I thought. And then Malekin just finally put the nail on the coffin for me. And Reina Dorita lost to Anatoly Malekin, got dominated, got embarrassed, hasn't fought in MMA since. Might never fight in MMA again, honestly. Who knows what this guy's up to these days, but I think Yuri would knock him out within 2 rounds. I think Jamal Hill would knock him out in the first round. So that's how I feel about the BJJ Nerd Champion at light heavyweight at one championship. Anatoly Malekin, speaking of the devil, speaking of the man, just beat up Arjun Bulla. Before that, dominated Reina Dorita. Before that, beat up Kirill Jashenko. Before that, beat up Amir Ali Akbari. Man, this guy is a good fighter. He really is. And Anatoly Malekin isn't just a fantastic striker. He's a good wrestler as well. And Jon Jones is the champion at heavyweight. And this fight is very interesting because, I mean, if I was a more popular channel, I wouldn't say this because it would just get clipped and shipped on Twitter and I'd look like an absolute idiot. But because I'm a pretty unknown channel and most people probably won't be at this point of the video, I can say stuff like this. I think Anatoly Malekin would put up a very competitive fight against Jon Jones, and I would almost go out there and say it. I think Anatoly Malekin would have a good chance of beating Jon Jones as well. I think Anatoly Malekin's that good. With that being said as well, Anatoly Malekin would have beaten Francis Ngannou, absolutely no doubt in my mind. He would have just taken him down with his offensive wrestling and dominated him. Anatoly Malekin would beat Cyril Gane, in my opinion. Jon Jones, though, he's very good, isn't he? Yeah, he's like one of the greatest of all time. Of course he's good. But, dude, Jon Jones, we don't know how good this guy looks at heavyweight. We still don't. Like, he just went out there and beat Cyril Gane in 2 minutes. That doesn't really tell me a lot. Like, if he beat Cyril Gane over the course of 5 rounds, or he's finished Cyril Gane in the 3rd round after dominating him, or after winning, or even losing, or whatever, I mean, we'll know more about Jon Jones at heavyweight. We don't really. Maybe we'll learn a bit more about against Stipe, but I think he's going to retire after he beats Stipe. So, who really knows what he's going to do? But I genuinely believe that Anatoly Malekin would put up a good fight against Jon Jones. And the reason why I say that is because Anatoly Malekin is so incredibly dangerous on the feet. He's got a fantastic wrestling base as well. I think Jon Jones, though, would be able to take Anatoly Malekin down and stay on top of Anatoly. We don't know what Anatoly looks like when he gets taken down. Like, he absolutely dominated, what's his name? Amir Ali Akbari, who's a former, like, a world champion wrestler, but it got stripped because he was on PEDs. But he dominated him. Amir Ali Akbari didn't even want to try and wrestle him. Actually, no. Amir Ali Akbari did try and wrestle him, and he gassed out doing so. In under 3 minutes, the state of the heavyweight division, huh? But, dude, Anatoly Malekin's no joke. He really isn't. Arjun Bulla ran away from this guy for about 1.5 years. And eventually kind of ended up fighting him. But I'm telling you guys, this would be a more competitive fight than I think most people would give Anatoly Malekin credit for. I 100% believe, without a doubt in my mind, that Malekin would beat Francis Ngannou. If you disagree, let me know in the comments. But at the end of the day, all Francis Ngannou really has is just insane power. He does have a little bit of wrestling, which he showed off against Gane, but Cyril Gane is not the wrestler Anatoly Malekin is. Absolutely not. So I think Malekin would beat Gane. I think Malekin would beat Ngannou. Would he beat Jon Jones, though? Maybe not. I don't think so, but I think it would be close, man. I mean, the thing is, the fight wouldn't last long. No matter who won this fight, it wouldn't last very long. Jon Jones would either submit him early or ground and pound him out early, or Malekin would catch him. It wouldn't be like a close split decision fight or anything along those lines at all. Like, it's just one of those fights, man. It's a close fight, and if you don't think it's a close fight, let me know in the comments below. But with all that being said, I think I might end the video here. Let me know what you think of the video. If you like the video, please leave a like. Please leave a comment if you have anything to say. If you disagree with any of my my takes. I don't think anything that I said was like too hot of a take, I guess. But yeah, with that being said, let me know what you think in the comments below. I'll be doing my final predictions for UFC London tomorrow. Yeah, well, tomorrow. And with all that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.